What's up, everybody? Welcome into the slate. It is Friday, and we've got a whole lot that we are going to cover. We're going to bounce around. We're going to do 4 different levels of sport, if you will. Well, maybe not levels, but 4 different variety. Who cares? Adam Kaufman, Matt LaMarca, Jeff Ulrich. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Great. All right, let's jump into it because we've got these two guys. Colin Sherwin is going to join us later to talk college hoops. Moose will be on hockey. LaMarca designated for both basketball and Major League Baseball now that the season is underway. And let us begin on the hardwood. I guess we will bookend this show with basketball talk, LaMarca. In the NBA, we have injury news coming out fast and furious, even as I sit here right now and I'm just refreshing. Miles Turner has just been ruled out. Daniel Gafford game time decision. Dennis Smith Jr. ruled out about a minute ago. Kelly Oubre is not playing. Gordon Hayward is not playing. Tobias Harris is not playing. All of this in the last few minutes or so. Some of it is not a surprise, and we've got some stuff that we are watching for later as well for those thinking either sports betting or DFS. Nikola Jokic, questionable. Kawhi Leonard, questionable. Jason Tatum, questionable. LeBron James, same story. Jaylen Brown as well. I mean, it's the nutty season. Like I read a tiny percentage, LaMarca, of the list. What are you watching for that is going to impact most how you're spending your money tonight?
The Boston situation, I think, is the most important because, they're priced right now where if Tatum and or Jaylen Brown sit, it's going to open up a whole bunch of value. Some of these other teams, they've been going through this stuff for weeks. Charlotte, they've been playing backups for a couple of weeks. Portland legitimately has no one at this point, to the point where Shaedon Sharpe is now like an 8K player. So the team that I think provides the most value should we get some injury news is Boston, especially in a good matchup against the Jazz.
All right, but when you say value, you're thinking DFS, I assume. So on the sportsbook side of things, how is there any advantage to you before all of the injury news comes out to placing a bet right now? For instance, would you be more inclined to put money on, Utah plus 10 in the event that you think that either the Celtics on the second leg of a back-to-back and generally playing down to their competition, maybe they just won't play well to begin with, it'll be a closer game even if they do win it, or there's a chance to lose and obviously the Jazz win, or just if, like you said, Tatum and or Brown are ruled out, then it's going to be a closer game?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that there's necessarily a ton of value with chasing injury news for a team like Boston that has everything to play for, right? I mean, they're 2 games out of the number 1 seed now in the East, and they own the tiebreaker against the Bucks. It's not like their starters were pushed all that hard yesterday. So I think if they sit those guys, it's because they legitimately think that they can win this game without them. But I'm still kind of operating under the assumption that they're going to play. The same goes for, Kawhi, LeBron. I think that when you're a team that is in a spot that needs to win, I'm erring towards those guys are going to be available. So I don't necessarily want to chase numbers on the off chance that they end up getting ruled out.
Anything that since beyond the wait and see mode with some of the stuff that you already talked about, as far as something you'd be comfortable putting money on right now, do you have any best bets in the NBA slate, or is everything just way too fluid at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I from a props perspective, I think that this is a really good prop slate. I mentioned Shaedon Sharpe. The guy played 45 minutes in their last game, which, by the way, they lost by 40 points. So feels like his minutes are pretty much blowout proof at this point. He had 37 and 7. So I think you can take the over on basically whatever Shaedon Sharpe prop you like. I kind of like the assists the most. I want to say his assist prop was about 4.5 this morning. So 3.5 minus 160. It was 4.5 at plus money before. So either or is fine with me. But
maybe a little player combo action.
Yeah, whatever. The Blazers are resting like every guy with a pulse except for Shaedon Sharpe, who, was the number 7 pick in the draft, but is 19 years old. So getting him as many reps as possible seems to be their priority right now. I don't see why that would change And the Kings, we know, have been a great matchup all year. They play fast. They don't play a lot of defense. So I'm all in on the Shaden Sharp props tonight.
All right, let's go baseball. Let's swing it around. If anybody has any questions, by all means, get involved. You know how to reach us. But let's move to the Diamond. Opening day was yesterday. That was exciting. A lot of fun. I was over at Fenway. Late rally. Came up short, the Red Sox, unfortunately. But today, it's a much smaller slate. You've just got not even a handful of games. 4 games that are, right? 4 games? 1, 2, no, 5. 5 games that are happening
5 games
across Major League Baseball. I'll tell you what, LaMarca, I'm not even just saying this. My money's on your guys. I got some loot on the Metsies tonight. What do you think?
I got to tell you, I am with you, and it scares me. I do think that the Marlins are an improved team, but I don't think people realize how good David Peterson was last year, right? Like, he was kind of not even guaranteed to be in the Mets rotation to start the year, but they had injuries to Jose Quintana, and now Justin Verlander is on the IL. So Peterson had a 3.83 ERA and nearly 11 strikeouts per 9 innings last year. And the Marlins were the worst team in baseball in terms of WRC plus against left-handers. And they had the highest strikeout rate in the league against left-handers. So the fact that Peterson is only available is laying, minus 120 here, that feels a little bit thin to me. I would have expected the Mets to be bigger favorites, especially since, yes, they're the road team, but the Mets are basically the home team when they play in Miami. A lot of New York transplants down there, and certainly the Marlins fan base is not the biggest. So it's a pro Met crowd whenever they play down there.
Where else you looking, be it DraftKings Sportsbook or obviously if you want to delve into DFS?
Yeah, I kind of like the Astros here at minus 150 on the money line. A little heavier than I normally like to play on the money line, but I think the Astros are in a great spot tonight. Shout out to Garion, right? He's been hyping up Christian Javier all off season. He had the 3rd best strikeout rate last year, or he would have been 3rd if he had qualified, if he had pitched enough innings, but because he started the year in the bullpen, he just kind of didn't get there. But he's a really darn good pitcher. And Lance Lynn, I think, is a great matchup for the Astros, right? Lance Lynn is a guy who, kind of like Bartolo Colon back in the day, like, all he does is throw fastballs. He throws the straight fastball and the cutter roughly 80% of the time combined, even a little bit higher than 80%. So the Astros are a team that tees off on the fastball. I think that it's a combination of an undervalued starter and a matchup that they can really take advantage of offensively. So I like the Astros. If you want to use them in a parlay or something like that to try and get the odds down a little bit, I'm fine with that. But I think minus 150 is overall too cheap.
Lance Lynn was like, he's freaking, he's still in the league. I'm impressed. Lance he's kind of bad last year too, wasn't he?
He had a terrible first half. I want to say his ERA in the first half of the year was about 7.5, but he was sub 3 over the second half of
it. Does look like he pulled it together.
Yeah, he was dealing with an injury. He's a good pitcher still. I still like Lance Lynn. I just think that the Astros are a really bad matchup for him. They didn't face each other last year, but in 2021, Lynn faced Houston, and Houston lit him up for 6 runs in 4 innings.
So you playing at money line or run line?
I don't really mess with run lines. I think they're kind of a sucker play. I know you see the difference in price, and it's like, man, it's so easy. But I'm kind of a safer better. I'll lay the juice as opposed to, if the Astros win by 1 run, I would feel like such an idiot.
Fair enough. I got a baseball prop.
Please.
Yeah, I want to hear him.
Can I give it, Kaufman?
Of course, yeah, please.
Manny Machado. I have to check with the host.
Who
knows what Kaufman will do if I just start talking baseball. Manny Machado, over 1.5 bases.
Good.
Going up against Cal Freeman.
Yeah.
6 doubles against Freeman in his career. He's got like 300-something batting average.
What's his name?
The Padres lost yesterday, right?
Don't you know,
Manny Machado? Okay. I heard Matty McConnell. And I was like,
Matty McConnell.
who the hell is
Matty
Matty
McConnell.
McConnell?
Yes, not him. Yes.
He's in Murder Mysteries too on Netflix.
I mean, one thing also I'd like to point out, I think stolen base props right now are underpriced. I'm on a few of them today.
Stolen base props. No kidding.
Yeah.
I was just looking through as we were talking basketball. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
So
get in on this.
On opening day last year, there were 5 successful stolen bases and 4 caught stealings. Yesterday, there were 21 stolen bases and 2 caught stealings.
I was going to say, what were there 5 yesterday in the first 3 innings? Something like that?
Yeah, like guys are really going to try and take advantage of the new rules, be it, the slightly increased or decreased distance, but more importantly, the limited pickoffs, right?
Okay, well, I'm going to give up some of my hockey time here. Let's go through. Let's figure out a couple of stolen base props here. Do you have a couple?
Moose got money to burn, man.
Yeah, let's go.
Find some.
So my guy is for the Diamondbacks. I've talked about him a lot. Corbin Carroll. I'm a big Corbin Carroll guy just in general this year. I have a bet on him to lead the league in steals. He had roughly 35 steals between the majors and the minors last year. The guy was the fastest player in the league in terms of sprint speed. First to home to first time. So like he blazes. And he can hit too. So he's not one of these guys who can run but can't get on first base. He can get there, and when he does, he can run. So I like him at plus 400. I'm also a Starling Marte believer tonight. You can grab him for the Mets. He's going to be facing a left-hander in Jesus Luzardo, who allows plenty of traffic on the base paths, right? Luzardo's knock has always been he's got electric stuff, but he can get very wild. So walks are an issue. He gives up hard contact. Marte stole a bag yesterday. People forget that he led the league in steals 2 years ago. The guy can still run. And so I'm happy to, plus 320, it might look like too short of a number, but I think based on how steals are trending this year so far throughout spring training and on opening day, like you can pretty much bet the over on a lot of these guys and you're going to be in pretty good shape.
How long do you think that holds? I mean, obviously we need to see what it does over the next few days in terms of the stolen base output. But if the first, week of Major League Baseball resembles what we saw on opening day, you think these numbers come down in a hurry?
Yes. I mean, if what we see on opening day continues, right? Like base stealers were legitimately 4 times more successful. So have these players' odds been cut down by 4 times? Absolutely not. Could we get to that point if that kind of performance continues? It's certainly possible. So it's something to monitor. We'll have to see if that was just a 1-game thing. But again, like it's been all spring training. Guys are more aggressive on the bases this year. And so far, at least, they've been more successful. So I'm expecting that to continue. I think we'll have a bunch of guys this year who steal 30 plus bases, which we haven't really had in a long time.
All right, Moose, let's do a little puck talk. And LaMarca, by all means, if you want to weigh in on the NHL, buddy, you know where to find it.
I'm always good for a schneid comment here and there.
That's right. And that's what we'll count on. You tell me, Jeff, in this light 4-game sample that we have tonight, which does not include my Bruins or your Oilers, what are you looking at this evening?
4 games. So still some big playoff matchups, especially in the West. Flames and Canucks. That's a massive one. Flames absolutely have to have it. They can catch the Jets tonight. I would definitely be looking at the over in the Flames and the Canucks. Actually, almost better than the over. There's actually 2 goal props there. We'll go right to the good stuff with the goal props to get some good, nice odds here as well. If you go to goal scorer, you can get where's my guys here? Oh my God.
There we go. I got it up for you.
So many players. No, I know. I'm just looking for them. Andrew Mangiapane, plus 255.
Yep.
Playing on the top line for the Flames. Again, Canucks allow a ton of shots on goal. They have the worst penalty kill in the league. Mangiapane is, he's not like a prolific goal scorer, but again, we're getting plus 255 here in a really, really good spot. That's a good number. And then JT Miller I'm surprised that he's at plus 200. He's playing like 22 minutes, top line center. He's basically at like 0.5 goals per game-ish kind of rate. And the Flames goaltending has been crap. I mean, that's why they're out of the playoffs right now. So Canucks have been scoring about 3.8 goals per game since Rick Tocchet came over. So you got 2 goal scorer props there in that game. I mean, I like taking them both. You can split your unit or whatever up. But JT Miller, Andrew Mangiapane, I think you can see a lot of goals in that game. Won't be shocked if both guys hit. Don't mind playing the over there either. And then for the Jets Red Wings games,
would you if you felt more strongly about one versus the other, would you parlay one of those guys with the over? Are you that confident in the over?
Yeah, I mean, no, for sure. You could definitely single game parlay it. I think that's a pretty good strategy. You could use one. You could even, you could even go use both guys in a single game parlay. It just depends on your risk. How much risk you want to take on. They're goal scoring props, so we could get a 6-7 game and neither guy could score. So, I mean, that happens too. But I just like the odds. I think that's a good value on Miller. Like I said, I mean, he's been one of their best offensive stars. I would expect him to be like, in a sub plus 200, and then Mangiapane for a top line winger, a plus 255. You just don't see that, especially against the Canucks. So just a good value proposition. How you construct it, definitely correlating it with the over makes sense. Absolutely. That's a good play when you're making single game parlays. So just going to the Jets game quickly, kind of complete opposite there. I think Red Wings played last night. They've been a little bit better defensively. Jets game's just massive trend to the unders. Under 6 goals. I like that a lot. I think you'll see a close game. Jets really need this one. I think they're going to tighten up. And like I said, Red Wings played last night. So those are kind of 2 of the main bets. Other games, Rangers. I can't even remember what I had for this. I think the Rangers are undervalued at minus 145, to be honest. You got 2 kind of bad goalies in that one. I think you just take them on the money line is fine. Sabres don't have a good penalty kill either. You can have like a third stringer net for the Sabres tonight. If you want to look at some props there too, like Artemi Panarin to score a power play point is something you could look at. Artemi Panarin just to score a goal. I like him power play point more. It's more of a playmaker. But certainly you could dive into the props. Also, New York Rangers over 3.5 goals. That's probably one of my favorite just straight up bets on the slate. I think the Rangers probably get to 3 or 4 or 5 goals tonight. Sorry. And then if I was going to play the last game, I'd probably just go Dallas puck line, but that's a game. The Coyotes have been really good at home. That's a guy I'm just not going to touch that. Some people, it's interesting. You're still getting plus 115 on the Stars over the Coyotes, but kind of this goes to LaMarca's point. I mean, I don't feel the need ever to stretch out of my comfort zone to play a puck line that I don't love. So probably just a game that I'd stay away from with Dallas.
DFS, any guy or two that jump out at you before we bring Colin in?
I mean, I already mentioned the 2 of them. Mangiapane is only 3,900. JT Miller is only 6,500. So starting with those 2 guys as value plays, I think makes a lot of sense. Also, Alexis Lafreniere is only 3,100 tonight. Again, you're looking for some cheap guys, taking the Rangers here who are just, expected to score close to 4 goals. That's going to be a good play too. So Rangers, Canucks, you can load up on their top lines. I like doing that. I might look to the Jets goalie Hellebuck, most likely starting for a goaltender option as well. But targeting those 2 games, Rangers, Sabres, Flames, Canucks for DFS is where you're going to want to go.
Excellent. All right.
Well, can I give one more pick?
Yeah, but is it a hockey pick?
This will be a good segue to Colin.
Yeah.
I'm taking South Carolina women's basketball tonight, laying 11.5 points. I love Caitlin Clark. I have enjoyed watching her for Iowa as much as any basketball player at any level this season. She's that good. I mean, she had a 40-point triple-double in her last game, but they just cannot hang with this South Carolina team. They're too big, too physical. They are going to just demolish them on the glass. I mean, South Carolina has an offensive rebound rate this season near 50%. Half of the shots they miss, they get their own rebound.
That's insane.
And Iowa is one of the worst rebounding teams in the country. I just think it's a terrible matchup for them. I think that this number is only this low because people love Caitlin Clark and want to bet on her. The Gamecocks have less wins this year by 12 points or fewer than they do by like 50 points, right? They have just been that good. They are blowing teams out of the water. I think that unfortunately they roll again, and then they roll in the finals and they hang up a perfect season. So I'm laying the 11.5 with the Lady Gamecocks.
Well, from your thoughts to Collins, let's bring in Colin Sherwin. You know him from DK Nation. He's been a focal point of this show in the past. You see him on the Sweat in the mornings as well. Colin, welcome in. It's good to see you. Welcome to the party, pal. Obviously, big Final Four to look ahead to tomorrow. But do you want to react to Lamarca and South Carolina tonight?
Yeah, I'm 100% with Lamarca on this. Caitlin Clark has been a joy. Like, she is so good. And she's going to get hers tonight. Like, I think that's how South Carolina's going to defend her. I think they're going to force her to take a lot of those 25, 26-foot threes that she's so good at, but they'll be able to defend her even closer. And I think they can just shut the other four down. So, yeah, I agree. I really look, these numbers on South Carolina, these are all from her hoop stats right now. So they are 36-0. Their point differential is 29.5. So they're beating teams by an average of 29.5. They are number one in the country in points per possession, and they are number two in the country in defending points per possession. So, I don't think we were all looking at Caitlin Clark, and it's a great story. And it's so good that she finally got that Big Ten championship, got the monkey off her back after what happened last year. But South Carolina, this is UConn Tennessee level of dynasty at this point. And we need to start talking about them in those terms historically as one of, certainly the three best college basketball teams that have ever stepped on a floor. They should roll this weekend. They should win this thing easily.
And you two women's basketball talkers, are you meeting for the first time here on this show?
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Pleasure, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Incredibly like-minded too. Peas in a pod.
Yeah. Peas in a pod. I've been a season ticket holder for my alma mater for the women's team for a long time, and it's been a sport that I've really enjoyed. I'll be at the women's Final Four next year when it's here in Tampa. I've been to a couple already, and it's a great event. So I as much as I love the men's game, I don't get as much chance to bet on the women's game as I would really like. But this is a great opportunity, especially when you get early numbers like you do for the Final Four here. Really interested to see this LSU team match up with the side of Virginia Tech tonight too. That's by far the more interesting matchup, at least on paper. Can LSU keep this thing going? They've really been peaking, except for their SEC tournament loss. Can they keep it going? And then can they match up with Virginia Tech size in the post?
Well, we know a lot of money, Colin, is going to be spent on the men's Final Four tomorrow to take us into the championship on Monday, obviously. And this is a Final Four unlike one we've ever seen before in terms of the seeding, obviously, and just the types of opponents. I mean, UConn, yeah, we've seen UConn, and they always sort of find these weird ways to win championships, and the couple they have previously. And this, it seems like it lines up to be a third one of those, at least in my eyes. We'll get your opinion, obviously. But Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, one side of the bracket, Miami, not too far from you, and UConn on the other side. I like, if I'm just talking money line, I like Miami or UConn. I actually like Florida Atlantic as opposed to San Diego State more so. But what are you looking at, and where should people be spending their money?
So I did grab some San Diego State -1.5 at open. It did tick up to 3, and it's starting to come back a little bit to 2.5. I'll be interested to see where it closes. I just think the toughness of San Diego State is something that's been so underrated all season by so many different people. Look, they're going to struggle for extended stretches, offensively. They're going to struggle to score. If they're not, forcing turnovers and getting easy baskets, defensively, they're going to have times they're going to really struggle to get after you. But they are so tough, and they come in waves, and they just have so many physical bodies that they can throw at people. They go 8 and 9 deep, and they can just defend at such an elite level. There was a great tweet from, I think, the guys at Rush the Court that said, does Brian Dutcher have some factory in Temecula that turns out like 6'8", 250 kids that can just beat you down? And it's like, it sure feels that way. I really like the San Diego State team. I think they have outplayed that conference all year. And as the rest of the conference fell by the wayside, you started to go, well, maybe they've been just sort of beating up on a bad league. No, they were just legitimately that good. So I think they'll have some stretches where they don't score. But I do think this could end up within a one possession game. Speaking of depth, Florida Atlantic goes really deep as well. you wouldn't think a team that's, rolling through Conference USA would have the kind of the ability to play 8 and 9 guys. Usually at those mid-major levels, the difference is they can have 1 or 2 guys that can compete in an elite level, but they really struggle, 3 through 7, 3 through 8. Florida Atlantic's got those dudes, and they can score inside and outside. So I just don't know if they can compete with the toughness at San Diego State. But Dusty May just signed in that contract extension. Can't be a bad thing for them either. All these kids know, the non-seniors, they know they're going to be coming back next year. They're going to have that same coach. It's got to be at least a little bit of a push for them, but this one's going to be tough. I like San Diego State to win, but I would never like more than 3 here. I do think this could very much be a 1-possession game.
How about on the other side? Are you as gung-ho about the Huskies as everybody else, or do you actually give the Hurricanes a chance here?
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I saw those 2 UConn games in West Regional. I was out there in Vegas, and I went to both games. UConn looks unbelievable right now. They are so good at the rim. Jordan Hawkins is going to need to play, and he's going to need to be healthy. Let's just put that out there. He missed shoot around today. They're saying it's like non-COVID illness, so he should be fine. He should be ready to go. I'm sure they're sticking him full of IVs and vitamin C right now to try and get him ready to go. So assuming he plays and is at full health, to me, this number seems just about perfect. Miami can score. The thing with Miami is that they are so good from the mid-range. They have so many different ways and so many different guys who can get you a basket whenever they need to. And sometimes that basket might be from 15 inches away, and sometimes it might be from 15 feet away, and sometimes it might be from 35 feet away. But they have so many different ways that they can match up and score. The problem is they're not going to be able to stop UConn. They just don't have, Norchad Omier can only guard 1 guy, and they're going to probably put him on Sonogo. And then that means that UConn's going to have a matchup advantage somewhere else on the floor that they're going to be able to take advantage of and score. I think it will. So I think this becomes a high scoring game. What was the last total I saw? Is that like a 151 that you guys had out there that I saw? 149. Yeah, I think this could be an over. The fact that it's coming back a little actually surprises me a bit. I think both these teams are really going to be able to get after it and score. My question is can Miami ever get a stop? And I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that enough to hang in. So I'm staying away from this game. I'm going to enjoy it. Miami's, been one of the great stories in college basketball this season. Jim Larrañaga, if he's not in the Hall of Fame after this, just get rid of the Hall of Fame. I mean, to do at George Mason and at Miami what he has done. He's won 2 ACC championships at the University of Miami. Everyone forgets this. They had Rick Barry. Then they stopped playing men's basketball for years. Like, they shut the program down. They played in a hotel on South Beach for like seasons at a time and have come back and built this thing, all respect to Constantine Popa, but like that was never a Big East team that was competing in the Big East when they were there. To see them go from that to this is an incredible story. I think Jim Larrañaga has to be the coach of the year. When you factor in not just the regular season, but the postseason, I think he's if he's not the best coach in college basketball, he's certainly in that conversation. But this is just really too tough of a matchup, and UConn's just playing like out of their skulls right now.
Colin, we've got like 1 minute, but I'm just curious at this stage when there are 4 teams, obviously there's no long odds, but there is quite a bit of parity among these 4 teams. I look at it like, so I put money on UConn to win the championship. I think not early on, but like the Sweet 16, something, when UConn was just starting to really play out of its mind. But I'm looking at the odds right now, and especially the way the bracket is set up. And I already said what I said about that first matchup, San Diego State and FAU. I don't know, putting a little bit of a sprinkle there on Florida Atlantic at plus 650 to win this championship seems like a very reasonable idea to me, not just because I've already done it, but because I actually think it's a good idea.
If you're going to sprinkle, to me, sprinkle definitely game 1 over game 2. Like if I'm sprinkling San Diego State or FAU for sure. Look, if it came down to UConn and San Diego State, and that's kind of where I have it, I think that's the most likely outcome. If it is San Diego State, that toughness, like they bring a UConn level of toughness. There are certain teams in the country that are just more physical, more powerful, can just bump you off where you want to be. The first one I think of is Arkansas, and then San Diego State's right there in that tier where they are just such a tough matchup. They come at you in waves. They stay within their system. They all, veteran team. Everyone knows their role. Everyone fills their role really efficiently and effectively. So for me, that is the team that I would sprinkle maybe at this point would be San Jose. If the FAU gets hot from the floor, though, look, there could be a parade in Boca Raton, Florida for the national championship, which, like, what? They're going to go by the Blue Martini? Like, what are they? What are we going to do here? Like, there's a Shake Shack on campus. I guess they can just, like, everybody meet at the Shake Shack when they fly back. It's bananas that we're even talking about FAU in this way. Their facility is like a bad high school gym, and that's the same part of Florida, which is so ironic because like there's some really good. The random factor, the variance in college basketball is just so high, especially with the parity and so much parity in the sport that we have right now. It's why a team, look, let's not forget, Florida Atlantic shouldn't be here because if Memphis, who called timeout while holding the ball, that timeout call gets made, which it should have been. It was a bad call by the official. All this parity.
Colin mentioned coming in waves. Tell you who comes in waves. Colin Sherwin, Matt LaMarca, and Jeff Ulrich. They come in waves. And thank you to Eamon as well as undercover boss Tom. T. Pike.